Check, baby, check 1, 2. Welcome to DYOR Live. We'll be with you shortly. Good morning, everybody. Yes, it's a sunny day here in Ottawa. I had my sunglasses on. Also, secret code for my hair didn't do what I wanted it to do, so I'm putting sunglasses on my head. Not that I'm that vain like that, but got a little busy this morning. I said, hey, I forgot to get ready for the show. That means water through the hair and sunglasses on the head. Welcome to the show, everybody. We can start in just a moment. If only you could hear the noises coming out of Pedro's apartment right now. Good morning, Kaching. Thanks for joining us from the great communist state of Minnesota. Hey, at least you don't live in Canada, where the Prime Minister yesterday just said, hey, we're partnering with China to be part of the New World Order. Screw the U.S. The U.S. now has an official opposition country above its border. How about that? How about that anyway? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to be hosting another episode of this great show we call DYOR Live, like it says on the masthead right there. Remember to share this show everywhere you have the ability to do so, in a trading group, in an email list, your grandma, any relative that you can get to watch our show. We'd appreciate it. We would certainly appreciate it. Anyway, it is January 16th, 2026. As you can see, Bitcoin still hovering in that 94, 95, 96 range. Opened up today, bounced all over the place. The market makers didn't have much to go on today as far as news, so they just moved the market around, tried to take your money. Good news, if you're not in the market, they don't get to take your money, and I'm not in the market right now. I closed off my trade from yesterday with a little bit of gain in it. Still in the long-term demo trade, which is up significantly. But as far as my foray back into trading, first trade was a success. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Made a cool 45 bucks. Woo! Rolling in it now, huh? Rolling in it. Anyway, the show on before us, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. is the Crypto Lifer show right over here. Sam Price is on, streams every day, literally every day for 5 years. If you were interested in watching a show before we come on, head over to YouTube and watch him at 10 a.m. every day. Tell him Striking and DYOR Media sent you. It literally sounds like Pedro is taking a grinder to his whole kitchen in my ear here. Oh, where is the Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a good... Ladies and gentlemen, got Pedro in my ear here right now. Pedro, I'll wait for you to come on, then I'll turn your mic on for you so you can get settled. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Kaching, as I said. Welcome Crypto Unicorns. Welcome Connect Me One. Thank you for joining us all on the great Rumble platform. I don't have a count on who's watching us on YouTube today. I did our YouTube stream a little differently today. See if we get the quality that Rumble has been passing to YouTube has been actually pretty lousy lately. So I'm streaming directly to it, so I don't have a one place to kind of check the whole stream of what's going on. So if you're watching on YouTube, let us know if everything's going all right. Do see we have some viewers over there. Let's see. Let's just do the test here. Welcome everybody. Please comment, chat, repost, like, follow, subscribe, whatever. Just do it. Let's see if we get all the postings done here. Yeah. I hear Mr. Garcia, but I do not see him. Just gonna call him Mr. On Time. Pedro, what was it? Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Pedro Garcia is in the house. Pedro, I have to ask. Before you came on the air, were you like grinding someone's teeth out and torturing somebody? Were you doing building construction or something? What on earth was that infernal noise coming out of your apartment?
It's just simple as I was vacuuming. Like, why would you think
that was a vacuum? My God, it literally sounded like you had a torture chamber in there, and you're grinding someone's teeth out with a diamond grinder. Like,
actually, so I was gonna do it last night, and then as I was making breakfast and getting everything ready for the show and everything like that, right? I kept stepping on all these grounds, and when you make coffee, ground spills and stuff like that. And it was just like, it was just so annoying to me. I was like, I gotta get this done. It's literally driving me nuts. And so like, I literally was going through, dude, and I was like, let me get this done. And then I was like, oh, I need to pick that up over there. Then I looked around and I was like, I'll just do the whole entire floor here real quick. And then I was just like, what time is it? Yeah, the show. I mean, talk about ADD, bro. It was bad. Like it was sometimes, bro, like the ADD is so real. It was funny. I was talking to somebody last night, and she looks at me. And we were going back and forth. And I'm talking. She's like, "You are a great conversationalist for a girl." And I go, "What?" And I go, "What does that mean?" She goes, "No, I'm not." She's like, "The way girls talk, it's nonsensical. It's sometimes there's an order, sometimes it's very not in order." And so she was just straight up like, the way you communicate sometimes, there's no order to it sometimes. She's just like, she just basically said, it's like, you gotta, like, it's great as a girl, but from a dude's perspective, I go, I'm not like this normally. I'm just saying honest. Like, I'm just like.
Yes, you are. You are like that normally.
Oh, shoot. I guess so then. Well, I guess I talk like a chick then. No offense to women, but I kind of hop from story to story. And she's like,
"Oh, no, you don't, Pedro. I mean,"
and she's like, "It's entertaining." And I started laughing. I was like, "Thanks." I don't know what to say.
Oh.
But what are you gonna do, right? But I tell you, when I hyper focus on something. When I hyper focus on something, it is pretty impressive that you literally, I'm like a pit bull biting on a freaking a piece of meat. You're like, you're not gonna get my attention anywhere else but what I want to focus on. and I only do the things that I want to do. I do have to admit that. Like even when I was in the military, my chief would be like, just let Garcia do what he's gonna do. He'll have fun. He'll make sure it's a good, it would always be done well. I'd be like, I want to do this job, and if you give me any other job, it just come out crappy, except the jobs I want to do.
I have a very similar problem with this. Very same thing. It's like, I don't want to do that. It's just not gonna happen. And
yeah, and I
does
try
happen,
to though.
it's like, right, it's bad. It's like, no, it's just not.
Yeah,
It's like a stick figure drawing. That's it.
Yeah, and then over here you want to do it's like a full-on Mona Lisa. It's like different shades of light. It's like they're like, this is amazing, and then you're like the stick figure. You're like, what? Well, because I wanted to do that. Like that's what I wanted to do. But I think the majority of humanity is that way. Honestly, I mean, I don't think I'm an anomaly on that. I just think people have that's the word I want to use. Learn to focus on doing things they don't want to do. But even things like I don't want to do, I see them as things that are going to help me do the things I want to do. So I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but if it has nothing to do or related to the things I don't want to do, then I'm just going to suck. It's just not going to be good for you. I mean, if you're like, you're an employee or whatever, like, anyways.
All I know is that we've gotten about a half hour into the show and we've said exactly nothing. This is like a Seinfeld episode.
This is exactly like a Seinfeld episode, dude. And that's why people turn in, bro.
Nothing.
No soup for you.
Perhaps not today. The numbers are not looking good so far. There. Oh crap! What did I do here?
That's all right.
Feed Pedro's screen. Hold on a second while I fix the.
All right.
The old system here.
Your system.
There, that should do it.
Ooh. Alrighty, let's pop this here.
Anyway, Bitcoining not doing what we wanted it to do. Yesterday we were saying looks like it was on its way to 100,000. Today it looks like it's on its way to 92,000. What's going on with Bitcoin, Pedro?
What are you talking about? We said we were gonna hit the we gave a couple things. BTC. We hit the 100-day period moving average. Remember the 100-day period moving average? I said what we want to see is we want to see it come down. So as it comes up and hits that, because if we don't see it come down, we see it blow through it and go to 100,000. That's not a good thing, right? But the fact that we're actually having an okay reaction to this is market reacting appropriately, because if it doesn't do what if it hit that 100-day period moving average and we saw it just literally, because we saw it do what, right? Monday, this is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. No, sorry. This is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So if we see it go up at the beginning of the week, most likely we're going to see it come down at the end of the week. We hit the 100-day period moving average hitting right here. And so I said yesterday, yes, we wanted it to go up, but we first wanted to go down. And remember, you're like, oh, we're going to go up, then we're going to go down, and we're going to go up again. Remember, that's where you made that comment, and I laughed. So, like, it's important. Like, if you go back and look at yesterday, if you watched the show, right, many of you guys would sit there. I said, I want to see it hit the 100-day period moving average for good market structure, and I want to see it come down. The 100-day period is the yellow line right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I said I wanted to come down, preferably come down to roughly around that 89, 90 area. But the reality is it may stop right here at the 8 period, which is that 93 area. So as it finds support there, we saw volume coming in, which is good. But again, it wasn't like the extreme volume that I wanted to see. And so I felt like I said it would be a bit of a rope a dope. I even said that on Zach Humphrey's show. I said, we want to see a bounce off the 100-day period moving average. That's what we want to see, where it comes down, find support around like the 90, 85,000 area, and then potentially push back up again. And that's what I want, because that's good market structure. We did not put as what's his name? I forget his name. PG. Was it P Gerv? Polyev. I forget whatever his name was. He had
P-Gerv.
mentioned P-Gerv, yeah, that on the monthly chart we had not put in that demand wick. Because it did not put the demand wick in, I want to see it first put the demand wick in, right? So that would be give it the opportunity for it to come in, sell off of the 100-day period moving average, and then go back up. So that's why I was saying I might, that 85-90 area needs to kind of get put in so that we can put in the demand wick. And it's, and it's, that's why, like, we need that. See, there's nothing there. So there's like a itty, I think it's like 50 points that it came down. And so that's why I want it to come down. It needs to come down there. And then if we see it
needs to come down and make that wick, because in the monthly chart, almost no candles do not have a demand and supply wick.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's a very small.
Are there any? Are there any that don't have?
Oh, I think
a wick on one side?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that there isn't, but you see, this one's a smaller one, but then it went up to come down, right? This right. So I mean, even these small ones, right? They're a couple hundred points. Boom, 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 boom. Right here, this one right here, January 2023, that's interesting that it was on January. So this year did not have a wick. 23. Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yes, it did not. This is when 2024. I said I was expecting it on 2024,
and it went up afterwards. Usually when there's no demand wick, you're doom and gloom, but it just boomed right up after that. Just kept going up.
Boom. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So that, that's a good sign of, here's one, again, smaller one. So honestly, I've actually never gone and looked at all January wicks. That's an interest. I'm going to do that. That's going to be my homework for the weekend. How many of these in January where we had to the majority of them? That is so interesting. I'm sorry. That just this is blowing my mind. Because you can see here on rally years, at very small demand wicks. All right, I'm gonna have to go check that out. Sorry guys, it went off ADD. There we go. Short buses unite. Let's go. EDD. Whoop whoop. EDD clan. All right, that's the new nickname. Special eds. Let's go. Short buses unite. ADD clan. Let's go. I just found a new thing. All right, so I'm gonna have to go check that out. I actually am going to retract that. But here's the thing. Institutions weren't, yes, they were involved, but they weren't like involved as they are now. And I know institutions, there's a lot of stops at the bottom right there. There's no way that they're not going to want to tap that. There's just, it's like a big booty girl walking in the hood. Like every brother's going to be like, what's up? Like that's exactly when you don't see and when you don't see a demand there, that's the clear signs that the institutions will most likely come back and tap that. There's no way. So we'll see. We're gonna actually see. But as of right now, short term, we want to see it bounce off the 100-day period moving average. And we want to see it come down, tap this and or around this area here. We'll find out. But yeah, it's doing what we said it wanted to do. That's why when I asked you on Monday, or when I asked you when did you get in on that trade, right? I said, okay, he should be okay because it may pull back here on that trade. But more importantly, like once it hits this area, it will most likely continue higher, right? And we went over the higher highs, higher lows on Ethereum, but it's the same thing here. High, low, higher low, boom, consolidation, higher low. We had the higher high, came back, consolidate, almost higher high. I know it did. Higher high went above because it pulled that out, came back down. We put another higher high, should come back down into this area here. This would be the third one, should push back up into this area here. So either come back and tap that 400 or the 200 period moving up here, which is around that 107, 110 area. So
yeah, I'm out of the trade. I put a limit order in to sell at like 96,000 and change, and ended, hit it, closed it out, and I think I made off with $45.
Nice, bro. Nice.
I still have my long-term demo trade on. That thing's just a long-term one hanging on there just to see how it performs. But the first foray in 2026 for trading is a one for one. Made a few bucks. Now planning on the market to retrace and get in when it's low again. And I feel, unlike when I first started this a year ago, Pedro, I would feel the need like, oh my gosh, I have to be in the market. Like, there's got to be a trade out there or something like that. And that was a recipe for disaster, because that's an emotional-based way of trading. Instead of saying, all right, my trade setup's going to come to me in one of these time frames on one of these days, so let's just wait for it. And so now I feel like a totally more calm and collect person here as I ease back into this.
Love it.
Much different feeling, I gotta tell you. It's a lot more. It's a lot less exciting, because before it was exciting like gambling. It was like exciting like you're at a craps table or at the roulette wheel or something like that. And that is not a way to earn a living, except for a few Vegas professionals. It's a way to drive yourself crazy. And it's a way that, if you have to stare at the screen all day like this, then there's plenty of traders like that. There's lots of those guys that love it. They drink 79 cups of coffee. They do uppers, and they're that type of trader. I am not. I am not at all that person. And I would burn out way too fast. And so now I've got a year of training under my belt. Got probably another good 2 years of even more training to go. But starting off 2026, much different mindset and a much different happiness quotient as far as the future of being profitable doing this little venture that we call day trading or week trading, whatever it is, Anyway, welcome everybody out there. Thanks for joining us today on this Friday. Let's see what kind of crowd do we have here. Oh, very small crowd, very small. X was down for a little while here today. X and Grok were out when we went live. Even when we went live, the system said, X not happy, not broadcasting. Now we are, and we've had 10 people or so tune in over on X. So thank you for joining us. Make sure you post, put us up. If you're watching on X, right click and open in a new window so you can watch our broadcast. You can comment. I watch the comments on the great comment machine there on X. It'd be great if we could get a bigger following on X, because the crypto people are there. And now that Elon and the engineering crew over there has gone ahead and eliminated a lot of the crypto spam from all these reply bots and all those reward things that make, I don't even know how to describe them, but the conversations in the crypto areas are much more acceptable now. And maybe we can get a handle on X and have some good conversations. Bring some people over from like the Crypto Breakfast Club. Hey Pedro, I always have a question. Is like the Crypto Breakfast Club always has a good crowd. They're on before us. They do things differently. A lot more hopium over there, and a lot of talking over the same topics every day. But it seems like very few of the people that listen to them, and I've mentioned this to Zach before, very few of the people are actually interested in making money. It seems like listening to like how right. They just want to talk and be heard, get their validated, get their opinions validated and that type of stuff. But you think more of them would come over to our show and watch and be like, all right, I'll tune into you guys for a little bit and see how the market's actually doing. And frankly, I don't understand it. As we try to grow this show and get new viewers and stuff, I go listen to other shows, and obviously we both know Zach fairly well and his crew over there with Paid and company. And I guess people just still, even though the market doesn't support it, they're still hoping for that 100x, like Zach kept finding 4 years ago, with the meme coins and altcoins that were exploding and that type of stuff. And it's very strange. And I say that again because once again this morning, Friday morning, that Crypto Power Hour show broadcast wasn't even live. They outed themselves as recording it yesterday or last night when they were doing their other show, and they had 40,000 viewers live, but not a single comment, no chat at all, no ka-chings, no fire chickens, no Mr. Parfums.
Well,
and also nobody from the Breakfast Club.
Look, they got their shtick. They're doing their thing. They're trying to do what they're trying to do. Respect it. I don't sit there. It's kind of cool.
They do a good job. They do a great job.
Yeah. So I respect them for that. When it comes down to our stuff, let's just say that we're doing a good job as well. I think we do bring a lot of value to it. I wanted to kind of steer away from this and kind of ask you more about from a news section, the new law that was brought out. What's it looking like?
Well, it's not out. It's dead in the water. The Clarity Act?
Yes.
The Clarity Act is in the Senate right now, and the banking lobby was very successful in getting yield taken away from stablecoins, not only from the stablecoin issuer, but from people like you and me. Like, as the way the Senate has the bill written up right now, you and I could not pay anybody interest on stablecoins, yield, or anything like that. The only exception to yield on stablecoins is if you're using it for staking for a proof of stake system. And the rewards that come along with securing a network. It's the only exception. And after that happened, a bunch of the whole crypto community splintered into groups saying that's fine and to groups saying that's not fine. And not only that, but the lobbyists got in there because the federal government and FinCEN and other groups were lobbying Congress also. They got in. They made language less clear for us, which enables them to have more regulatory oversight by coming up with rulemaking. And people get promoted in government agencies by coming up with policies and getting rules adopted. And so what happened is Coinbase pulled out of the Clarity Act. A couple other big firms did also. Have a good day, Mrs. Striking. And it fractured the support of and the Senate was like, whoa, we didn't see that coming. And essentially, they took the Clarity Act off the table for right now. Or actually, in the US, we call it sending it to the table, meaning it's not out for a vote. In Canada, they call it bringing it to the table, means they're going to vote on it. It's kind of opposite. And it's right now, it's dead in the water. And everyone's just, all the work that the people in the Senate put in over the Christmas period and all that type, kind of trying to come up with this big market structure bill, is for naught right now. And for good reason. For good reason. We developed all of this in order to be separate from the banks. And I shouldn't say we, I should say the people that actually developed it. I didn't have a hand in it. But I believe in it. I believe there should be something separate from the banks. And then the banks came out and said, nope, only we're allowed to pay yield and very little of it. Meanwhile, announcing $25 billion in earnings per quarter for JP Morgan, another $10 billion for Morgan Stanley, other multi-billions for the other banks as well. And they get all those billions because they don't pay. They take your money, they take everyone's money, but they don't pay. Thus, they get the money. They're trying to do that. So the Senate is in a quandary right now because all these people thought they'd they've got a lot of other things they need to work on, the Senate. They're going to have to work on the Trump tariff thing after the Supreme Court overrules his ability to use tariffs. They're going to have a lot of stuff to do, and they don't have enough time to do it. And they got to get this thing done. They got to get this thing done to get this thing moving because the money, Pedro, how fast does money move in crypto?
It's instantly.
Boop. just like that, there are going to be yield payers in all different parts of the world. Just like that. Boop, done.
Are done.
Right. And so all the money that was coming back to the U.S. will just turn right around and go out of the U.S. Just like that. And the banks will have nothing they can do about that unless they, turn off yield-paying stable coins in whatever jurisdiction the money moves to, which is always possible. They have the banking industry is probably the most effective lobbying group in the history of the earth, because they lobby at every level. There's a bank. Every elected official, from the lowest dog catcher to the president of the United States, has a lobbyist assigned to them by the banking committee or by the banking association or various banks themselves, and so they lobby every topic for everything. And so you can imagine that the power they have over the Senate. They literally got the Senate to completely change their mind, and everybody, everyone that was like, yes, this is good, all of a sudden is like, oh no, this is bad. You're like, wait a minute, last week you said it was good. Now, oh no, the banks are important. Can't let the banks get hurt. They could go out of business tomorrow. Really? The banks are going to go out of business tomorrow? Really?
Well, no, yes. The whole entire point of stable coins is to circumvent the current system. Like, that's the point of it. And that it's actually being backed by real assets versus a fiat system. The thing about Tether was that Tether is backed not only by treasury bonds, but also by gold, by stocks. So very much so, if I am a monetary fund, this is how, right? Like, the system can actually make money. I can go through, let's say I start a stable coin. I start to get fees off of that. Those fees I go through, I put it into interest-bearing yield, things that produce more than a treasury bond. So I'm getting an additional 3 or 4%. Plus, I'm receiving type of dividends from those things. So not only am I receiving capital appreciation, but also dividends off that. So then when I pay my dividend, it's not a net yield, or it's not a net yield situation. I'm actually receiving money. So then what can I do? Over years and years, I can actually stabilize that currency and actually put it with and put behind it an actual real value to it. That's the whole entire point. Current market structure right now is literally based off of a fractionalized system that is in itself only based off of trust.
Right.
So yes, if I had to choose between a bank or a stable coin yield, I am going with the stable yield coin every single day of the week. Primary reason why, just like what I just went out and elaborated on. So that's why I think they are afraid, and they should be afraid. But here's the thing. You cannot stop innovation. Ultimately, this will work. Like I said, I do expect them to start to come out with other things. Like, there's going to be other countries, like a yen stable coin, where I know I can go through and get real yield again, right? Or I can go out and with my, let's say an Iran stable coin. Dare I say that? I hopefully will, if they actually understood how, look, if they actually understood the fullness of crypto and what they could actually get, and all of a sudden they know that they could get an additional money coming in off of DeFi, yes, look, there would be people who would do it. Or China, right? China actually, I think they do understand. I think they also understand that America finally understood it. And then they went through and said, and we're going to allow, I wouldn't even put it past China to sit there and push America out of the stablecoin industry so that they can receive more income from it. Imagine if you had a yuan stablecoin that actually produced a real yield off of it. So anytime you saw a capital appreciation in the yuan, all of a sudden you also have capital appreciation along with its actual. When I say that capital appreciation, I mean literally how you have currency wars, right? And where right now Trump is trying to push the U.S. dollar down, right? So it makes it more advantageous for companies to do business with us and buy our goods and services. Versus, let's say, yuan. The yuan has been notorious for manufacturing a low interest, or excuse me, not a low interest, but a low currency, hence drawing people to want to do business with them. And so if I know, in addition, I can get additional yield over that time period, and especially remember, 1%, 2% over a 20-year period is astronomical. It's a difference between 500,000 and $1 million. I mean, it's a big deal. And so this is where I sit there and I go, yeah, they should be afraid. This is, and I didn't expect it to fully come through, but I think America understands. I think crypto guys understand. We know that Coinbase is starting to divest from Bitcoin because we see their holdings, right, as they pull away. And thank you, Patrick, for that. But in that same sense, I'm on a diatribe. I should probably let you speak. My final statement is this. I just realized that. Thank you. That was myself trying to not do that. And let me throw this out to you, and this will be a discourse between us. If we as Americans sit there and go, you know what we're going to do? We're actually going to do a bipartisan system where, yes, we're going to allow crypto to go ahead and buy, right? But if they were to hold hands with the banking system and say, look, if we do this, we will also assist you on creating a system for yourself. All of a sudden, it changes the metrics, and now they let them into the pie. And yes, that system, the traditional or the legacy system, has always had the upper end. But just like, and they see the writing on the wall, just like, actually, unlike Kodak, right? They said that, like, Kodak didn't. They said, "Oh, there's no way that digital systems not. People always want the feel of an actual picture in their hand." No. Well, I think if we sit there and say, if crypto says, look, here's another system that you can also receive yield and actually make more money, and if the legacy system adopts it, I very much feel like as if, all right, it will continue, and we will see a swift hybrid of crypto and Swift. Whereas if they keep fighting it, they're not going to win, because technology always wins sooner or later.
And I don't know why they keep fighting it. I mean, let me rephrase that. I don't know why they keep fighting it without adopting it secretly in the background so they can have all of the goods for themselves. I mean, maybe they are. I mean, let me rephrase. Sorry, I hit the wrong button there. They are adopting it, but they are. I don't understand why they push the old products. In every market, new products win out over time. There's no market that's still got horses pulling people down the street instead of using a car or an internal combustion engine or an electric motor or something like that. Everything eventually evolves to the better product. And the banks are still pushing the old system. Even Swift, which says, oh, we're going to blockchain this thing and compete, their diagram showing how the new version is going to work just puts a blockchain in the middle of their old messaging system. And it's actually quite cumbersome and more of a disaster. It just seems like so many people get comfortable with their job and their paycheck that they think, well, it's still going to continue like this, even though throughout time, they're always wrong. Change happens. Just like with political parties, the liberals like to see change happen really quickly. Conservatives like to see change happen slowly and more methodically. Same with new products, especially in the banking industry. They have certain people like the Bitcoin maxis, like, screw the banks, we're switching everything right now. And then there's other people like, frankly, like me, that are like, oh, you know what, the switch is good, but let's go slowly because we got a real big economy here that runs on this thing, and we don't want to hurt that. I don't know. It's Friday, and He's just sitting there, Jamie Dimon. You're on mute. Jamie Dimon's sitting there going, we screwed them again. Isn't that right, Mr. Smith? Yes, Mr. Burns. Did we lose you there, Pedro? Oop. All right.
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I had to. No. I actually had my speakers on versus my hearing system. Can you hear me now?
We can.
All right, awesome. So I think you're right, but here's the thing: people are complacent. Most people do not. People just don't want to change. That's the biggest thing. Is the most consistent thing is change, and the most consistent about humanity is that we're lazy and we don't like changing, right? Unless we have an opposite effect on what we're doing to stop us from doing what we're doing, we don't do it. Right? As one pastor said, the change agent will always increase more and more until God gets you to do what he wants you to do, which is better for you. And it's the same idea with literally crypto, right? It's just that, legacy finance. And it's the key point is this, is that the SWIFT system and the legacy financial system is at a point where they are the top dogs. But you can only suppress something for so long. Even let's say 30, 40, 50, 60 years. I mean, the idea behind nuclear is they've tried to suppress nuclear. We've tried to keep other nations away from it. But ultimately, every nation on the face of this earth is sooner or later going to be able to have a nuclear bomb. Or nuclear system. They're going to. It's cleaner. It's a better and a more efficient way of doing energy. It's going to happen, right? And so, will cold fusion ever happen? Who will get there first, right? That's the real question. But in all reality, we've tried to suppress this now for. I mean, when was the atomic bomb? 1944. I think we came out with it. Then we had 2 bombs. So it's been almost 90 years or 80 years.
Right.
But ultimately, everybody's going to have it. It's just not, you're not going to keep a fat kid away from a cake factory. It's just not going to happen. Okay. It ain't going to happen. There's another Pedro quote there. You ain't going to keep a fat kid away from a
cake factory.
From a piece of cake. I don't even know where.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the entertainment you get on DYOR Live.
There we go. But on the back end, there are some other news things we should be talking about because, bro, there's some craziness going on. While you get that ready for that, I'm gonna go over a couple things here. I want to go over our friend and our I guess they would be business partners, right? Because we do own them, right?
Fire Chicken.
Fire chicken. There we go. And plus, Chuck is just awesome. We really appreciate Chucky.
Although he's been missing. I wonder if everyone's sick in Oklahoma. I wonder if he's sick. I wonder if he's on vacation.
And works like a dog, man. Where are you at, Fire Chicken? I have an amazing.
On the great graphics machine over here, Fire Chicken gets rounded to 0.0003. So I don't know what the actual.
I love it.
Look at moving the
guys.
Full disclosure, this is a product that Pedro and I have invested in. We have not received anything free from them for marketing them. We have bought, using our own show wallet, Fire Chicken tokens.
Yeah, so look at this. So this is awesome. Look at them blow through this resistance with good volume. We had talked about them prior to this, how this would act as resistance, this area here, their previous high. You can see here they came in right here. They sold off, consolidated for about 3 months. Boom, came back out. Now they're here, came back down, bounced off of that 50 period, and now they're just finding it again, which is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. Look at them. Nice little recovery, even from yesterday. Pushed up. Obviously, at the tip here, there's always going to be sellers here. Came in, sold off, and now they're just eating. They are eating the sellers, which is beautiful. I absolutely love it. You guys are doing a phenomenal job. I see you guys on the scope of the internet all over the place. You guys are doing a great job, man. Building up community. Love your content. They are an educational content coin. In addition to it, they do a great job of networking with people. Chuck, who's the CEO, is doing a great job in regards to just networking with a lot of main large meme coins. I wouldn't even call them a meme coin. I call them an educational coin because it's really what they're about. The way he handles a lot of the actual, like, if you can't play them, which is really awesome because the way Chuck has set up the liquidity pools, you could try to play them. It's just only going to beat you. The way they set it up, their system is, I don't know. He did a good job. It just puts money in their pocket if you just try to pump and dump them, because ultimately you're going to get eaten if you do. So it's best just to buy in and hold, and then just keep, as they keep pulling back, like these pullbacks here. It's nice. Now let's check them out here real quick, how far it could go here. Nice little push up for the week. We are seeing an increase in volume here, which is good. You can see here it was kind of we saw that increase in volume right here. You saw the pullback here, and then over the Christmas holidays, or during the holidays, you saw just kind of people were just chilling. But this week alone, man, they're starting to come through. And what's nice is this, is you see this here, how it's just literally following and touching that 8-period moving average. I would expect this thing, the next, because 300,000 isn't really, I mean, like I said, it goes like 50, 100, 250. But after 250, which is what you saw here, you saw the pullback here. From there, it's 500,000. That's the next leg up. 500,000, the next leg up is where you start seeing resistance come in. So yeah, man, you guys cleared that, and you cleared it strong. You're starting to see volume come in. You're starting to see people get in and pay attention to you. So the next resistance line is that I'm calling for here is 500,000. So that's a good, what is that? You're at 300, boom. It's almost 75%. That's a 75% push from here on up. I would expect normally, like you see, we see it go quick, right? The push, the leg up is high, you consolidate, and then again, you restructure the 8-period. You saw the 8-period find support. So the next leg up, I'm saying, is I'm looking for 500,000 for our friend Fire Chicken as it starts to move. There you go. That's it. Let's go Fire Chicken. And the biggest thing is this, is the increase in volume for this week. I love it. That looks great. Liquidity 55,000, not bad. That's, what is that? It's almost 15% of the market cap, so that's good.
What is their market cap again? There, we got
about It's about 300,000 right now.
Moving and grooving, on its way to $1 million.
Yep. If it hits $1 million, you'll see it pull back again, and then start climbing. And that's when it gets to the millions. That's when it starts to get fun, right? Because all of a sudden now you're climbing, you know. And then that's when you start to get the exponential $1 million, and then it's the 10 million mark, then it's the 50 million mark, and then that 100 million mark after that. And that's when I think this is when once it hits that like 50 to 100 million mark. I think that's when you'll see that's when you'll really start to see this thing pump. And I want to address something you made a statement, and you don't expect to really see another like 100x, 1000x. I think those are gonna very much still be what we're seeing, just not as quick. I don't think you know, because I think institutions don't want that, so they'll come and take the other side and short it. But ultimately, they will go through and allow things like that, especially I think if it's a good coin, right? Like an educational coin that's got a good community. Again, they're going to want that, because what do institutions see? They see liquidity. When they see a huge community, that's just juicy to them, because they can buy and then they can sell off on the liquidity or on the community, and then buying again at the low, let it rally high. And so they're always able to go there and mine the community, kind of like what's happening with Bitcoin in essence.
Kaching says, let's something. I don't know what the hell he just said. But it
That
appears to be good news
effing-
for. It's something good for Fire Chicken, I think.
It's let's effing go.
We'll just go with that.
All right.
Let's Fire Chicken go.
No,
Let's Fire Chicken go. He'll explain it to us.
No, it's let's FUK go.
Right, remember FCKN is Fire Chicken.
I know that. I'm more than yes, I understand that.
Gotta check sometimes, you know. We got the 3rd grade reading glasses on.
Oh dang, cut me deep. He cut me deep. Just to play on let's effing go. I got you. I hear you.
Hey, on the chart there, click the button up there that compares it to Solana instead of USD.
Yeah, here we go.
Let's look at this chart.
Yeah, it's looking nice.
Nothing but steadiness there.
Yeah.
This chart, just for those, as always, for those that don't understand, when you compare the price of your asset, your token, to USD, you have the volatility of the underlying asset, Solana, price variable moving the price of your product around. When you compare it to just Solana, take out the reference to USD, this is totally a representation of buying and selling from the automated market maker without any external influence like the US dollar and what's the Solana to US dollar price is. And so you can get an idea of how it's performing on its own. And a lot of charts you look at, and especially when Crow is moving up and down very quickly, a lot of charts look like they were selling off like crazy and people were dumping it. And then you clicked this button and compared the underlying token just to Crow, and you saw, hey, it was either flat or growing. But on the chart, it looks like red. It's like, it's because Kronos has come down. It's coming down so quickly. Then it brought the USD price along with it. But if you just look at the chart in its basics, if everyone looked at the charts in these like this, you'd have a lot less panic selling, especially in bear markets too. Anyway, Fire Chicken doing a great job. Keep at it, Chuck. Keep up, Mr. Hodes and Kaching and crew and everybody else. Maybe our $25 will be worth $250 here soon. Whoop,
Yeah.
whoop, whoop.
Yeah. Whoop, whoop. Alrighty. So I like it. I like it like that. All right, next. Do we have any cool other news out there?
The news I had was related to the Clarity Act, which we already spoke about. But one of the big things that I saw in the news today was Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is getting a big influx of cash into his media company, Beast Media Group. 200. Where did that article go? That article just disappeared. Oh, here it is. I got it. Oh, I made that too loud, everyone. Sorry. Let me bring this article up here. Hit this button. Morning Minute. Tom Lee backs Mr. Beast with $200 million. 200. Apparently, Mr. Beast didn't have enough money, so Arnold or whatever his name is, I can't remember Mr. Beast's real name. It's a massive
Jim.
bet on Mr. Beast. Jim, right? But arguably more bullish for the future of BMNR. Surprising new investment juxtaposes the face of Ethereum with the face of all content. Bitmine Immersion Technologies announced a $200 million investment into the financial platform initiative led by YouTube creator Mr. Beast. You know, people forget that Mr. Beast is big in the crypto markets. He was big in the NFT markets. Really helped drive the prices of those things crazy. And with many accuse him of doing a lot of wash sales too to raise the prices of things. But we're not going to get into all that kind of stuff. We're just going to say that he has an outsized influence in the industry in areas that we never even really kept our eyeballs on. Jeff Hausenbold, CEO of Beast Industries, said the firm would explore ways to incorporate DeFi into our upcoming financial services platform. So Mr. Beast has done videos for his whole life. I think he's getting a little tired of it. Now he's going to take his money and put it to work the proper way by creating a financial fintech firm of some sort. He's talking about a digital asset treasury. I'm not going to go into it. It gets detailed, but what they're doing essentially is Mr. Beast has taken his money and along with other people's money, starting a fintech firm in order to grow it in the not just crypto, but the digital asset treasury business and everything related to trading. They're setting up their own financial trading platform. Mr. Beast is a beast. Go get him, Jim.
It's interesting. Do you know anything that's going on with the Federal Reserve Chair and who Trump is looking at take Powell's place?
Yeah, Powell is out in what, May? His term expires? Trump made a I'm going to say this is opinion, so I don't get investigated up there with Mr. Powell. But he made a big mistake in trying to turn the tables on Powell by criminally charging him with mismanagement of money. I mean, that's Trump talked about using how the Biden administration used lawfare against conservatives and Republicans and things like this. This is a blatant example. Literally, the chairman of the Federal Reserve has nothing to do with the construction and renovation of the buildings. The buildings are National Historic buildings. They're overseen by essentially an independent committee that's in charge of construction in our national capital area. As the chairman of the Federal Reserve, all he really has is authority to say, let's do the project or not do the project. And to think that just because he went in front of Congress and said one thing, and the DOJ combed through his statement just to find anything that was out of the ordinary. And of course they did, because it's their interpretation whether something's out of the ordinary or not. They're like, he's a criminal! No, he's not. He's just trying to do his vision for the job. Even if you disagree with it, and Pedro and I have disagreed with a lot of the things that come out of his mouth over time.
Yep.
It's not the right way to do things. It's not the right way to do things. You can't just run around charging everybody. This is getting out of control. It wasn't. Trump didn't make it out of control. I mean, this has been going on since the Obama years, using the federal government against people it doesn't like. So I'm not blaming any one political party. I'm just saying this is stupid. It's stupid. It takes the eye off the ball. Like I said, the most important thing the Fed can do is analyze data. It's the most important thing they can do. And when you got all of a sudden the head guy in charge of it now has got to worry about going to jail for just doing his job, then they're going to lose their focus. And other qualified people are going to be saying, I don't want that job. In fact, I don't want any job in the U.S. government because they might come after me if I don't do exactly what they want. And I'm not going to do exactly what they want in an independent job.
It's interesting who they're bringing in. I mean, I think Trump understands how the system works. I just don't think he understands the nuances, though. Like, he knows that. Just part of me, it's like he's vilifying the chairhead. The chairhead only gets one vote.
Right.
Like it's not like he has carte blanche to override anyone. Like, I think it's 7, or how many is there? 7 or 9? I forget exactly how many.
There's 12. There's 13.
12.
Yeah, that's the regional banks. Yeah, there's all the committees.
I don't know what I said. Yeah, it's 13. And the idea behind it is that yes, does he have influence? Absolutely. But if he puts a man in who everybody has to stank eye on, then you're basically just null and voiding one vote, and you're going to vilify it. You're vilifying him with the crew. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you're a kid, right? and your teacher, makes you sit in a group that you don't like them and they don't like you, and she's like, well, you all have to work together, and it's like, no, they're just gonna make that kid do the work, and then it's like, so it's like, it's one of those things that he shot himself in the foot there. If you would have handled this in a more easy way, or at least talked about it, like, look, what can we do to lower some of these rates? What are you seeing that I'm not seeing? Let's come together and get a deal done. Do what he does best and get a deal done with the Federal Reserve and saying, look, I want to see America prosper. I get you guys are concerned, but let's look at the raw numbers fully. This is what my analysts say. What are your analysts saying? Okay, we see that. Now, look, we can see 5, 6, 8 months down the road right now. And if we keep going the way you think we're going to go, it's going to hurt us, like down the road. We need to work this out. We need to figure something out. I think if he was to have done that, it would have been a great situation. But to sit there and come hard after him with a trumped up charge,
unintended,
is just hurting him. Now, do what you do best, Mr. President. Got to deal with these groups. Got to deal with them. Talk with them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is the art of the deal. Let's go make it happen. And then ultimately, when you sit down and you talk with them, you're not only just going to help out, your presidency, but the people who come after you. Right? You are a figurehead. You're the front of the movement, but I don't think you're the heart of the movement. Right? People want to see America get back on its feet. People want to see jobs really come back here to America. People want to see a strong, dare I say, imperialistic America. Right? It's a 50-50 split down the road. Every single, maybe not 50, but maybe 50.5%, but either way, you're cutting it pretty down the line, where you've got a large portion of people who want to see America great. So let's get it to work correctly instead of trying to force people, right? Best way to get your girlfriend best way to get your wife to give you a little nookie at night is to go do the dishes and vacuum vacuum. Hey, I'm saying, warm up the pot there, Mr. President. Anyways, go ahead, read that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the show. Actually, it's well past that time of the show that we try and earn a little cash monies here. Today we're going to talk about Rumble Wallet here. Let's see if I can bring this up here properly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, they can cancel your accounts. They can freeze your cards, decide what you're allowed to buy, say, or support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control now, and they use it. That's why financial independence matters now more than ever. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a non-custodial wallet built for real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not the bank, not the government, not a tech company. Buy digital assets like Tether, Tether Gold, and Bitcoin in one place. No permission, no middleman, no cancel button. And when you want to support the creators like us, you actually believe in, you can use the Rumble Wallet app to directly tip the content creators, fast and without interference. This isn't a credit line they can shut off, ladies and gentlemen. It's not their money. It's not money they can steal. It's your wallet permanently. That's right. Yours to protect for your future. Yours to protect for your family. When the system fails, when institutions turn on their own people, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability. Getting tongue-tied there. Rumble Wallet isn't about politics. It's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today. Download Rumble Wallet now and step away from the big banks for good. True ownership, true protection, true financial freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, Rumble Wallet. There's a QR code over here on this side of the screen, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching on your big screen TV, hold your cell phone up there, pop that QR code, put your eyeballs on our advertisers, and give them an opportunity to sell you their product. If you're watching on your cell phone or tab, in the chat, there's a link that says learn more. If you're watching on the replay, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. There's a link in the description. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks to Rumble and Rumble Wallet for sponsoring this segment of DYOR Live.
Let's go.
Really, everyone should. All of our viewers should watch or should download the Rumble Wallet. Try it out. They asked me to give them feedback on how people use it. If they complain during the show that something doesn't work, if they have a tough time using it, just let me know and I'll send it back to the behind the scenes feedback to the creator peoples, and they'll send it to the wallet peoples and all that type of stuff.
I hear you, man. I totally hear you. I've been trying to help out with the algorithm here just a little.
Sounds good. And we've had actually, Pedro, we've had some good viewerships today on
Rumble.
No, on X. On X, we've had 20,
really?
24. X is like hit or miss for us. Sometimes X, you look at it and you're like, wow, we had 85 people tune in today. And other days, it's like 3. And you're just...
Yeah, it is.
You're just like, what the hell? You just never know. You never know with X.
This is true. Jump back here real quick to Bitcoin and where it's sitting right now. We've actually had a really interesting week this week here in regards to the economic calendar. I haven't really gone over much this week, but I think what's interesting is, come on, let's go. Some of the numbers here kind of not necessarily expected. Oh, they changed it. That's why they were pushing so hard for the me to pay for them. That makes so much sense now. Okay. All right. So for the GDP quarter over quarter, it showed that they were talking about a 3.7%, and so to me, where is this at? No, not GDP. Next week, this week. I was like, what, GDP? Wait, what? One second, where is it at? CPI was kind of expected. There's a whole entire situation right now in the numbers where we are, what's the word I want to use? Because we had the shutdown last month, and it's going to throw all the numbers off kilter for a full year, because there was no data for a month, and now it's going to, so you're going to have to recalculate everything based off of, instead of a 12-month running period, you're going to have to do it on an 11th-month period. And so there's literally going to be a false number every single month going forward for a full year. So that's going to be fun. But with that said, the CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index, was actually lower. Again, with the actual, and this is not recalculated off of everything, but it was really interesting to see that for December, which was the 2.6. It was lower than what was forecasted. The other part behind it, which was really interesting, was new home sales, right? We actually had higher new home sales, which was an interesting situation, with 737,000 for new homes. Existing homes, existing homes, I thought existing homes were this week. Sales month over month. Anyways, we'll go over that. I can't see here, but we've seen some pretty decent numbers here, which is what kind of we were expect. We were not set. Honestly, I was expecting lower home sales. Trump is really trying to push for home sales because, as I've said many times here, home sales are the cornerstone of our economy. When you buy your home, the home has to go through and has to be furnished. And when that home gets furnished with couches, with beds, with computers, with refrigerators, it is everything that runs our economy. And so when there are new home sales that are being bought and we're seeing an increase, it's a good metric to say that the economy is fairly healthy. And so we're watching that happen. Only problem is we're not seeing jobs come in, right? That's the biggest fears that we really want to see is real jobs come in and really kind of take hold of, or just kind of start pushing the economy, right? People don't have the money to pay bills. We're starting to see some houses starting to go up. We're starting to see more supply on the housing market, which is basically a sign of if those people, one, foreclosures starting to pick up, two, more sales are more, there's more sellers on the market than there are buyers, which basically means prices goes down for housing. So as housing starts to drop, we could potentially see a increase in house buying, right? And especially if we can see housing or the interest rates drop, then so it's almost like restarting up that engine again. It was slowing down, but if you can see it starting to pick up, this is a good sign. And we've talked about also in the past how during COVID, people were flushed with cash, so people were going on vacations quite a bit. And in that venue, when that was happening, people started to go out and buy houses for Airbnb. So a lot of people are speculating that a lot of these houses that are on the market right now are just secondary houses that are just people, because people are not cash flush anymore, not going on vacation. They're just, those second homes are having to go on the market and be sold because people are losing money on them. So will those people just walk away from those houses, right? Because they're now losing money on it. And then just kind of let it go into foreclosure and then wait 7 years until they rebalance their,
It's going on here in Canada. I mean, people are walking away from their mortgages on they bought investment property condos in Toronto, like sight unseen. We've talked about this a number of times where they, lever up 4 or 5 purchases. And the developers made a terrible mistake by, first of all, overbuilding. And 2, requiring so little money for deposits that people got used to flipping them before they were even sold. And they also pressure the city council to allow for smaller units. They're like, well, they need immigrant sizes, and that's what they call them. And Pedro and I stayed in one of these places, an Airbnb in Toronto last year, and it was tiny, and it was tiny and weird shaped and stuff like that. And guess what? Now that the market's changed, people can't sell them because no one actually wants to buy them, because no one actually wants to live there, because they're not livable units. I mean, maybe for a single dude or girl right out of college, sure, they're fine. But as soon as you get, you're right, that's not good for a family, or really even a couple that wants to live, more than one room. And a lot of these places are just unsellable, and they're walking away from them. Saying, just and the developers and the owners of the buildings are like, hey, all of a sudden, nobody's paying their monthly fee either, because if they're going to walk away from their mortgage, they're walking away from the homeowners fees. And so these big buildings in downtown Toronto are now starved of maintenance fees. And then that's when you have big, as they say, a big effing problem.
Yeah, that's when you start to have large scale foreclosures on large entities, and before you know it, that's when you start to have China issues. What's interesting is in America, I don't really foresee what's the word I want to use, because when people can find money, like in America, right? Like that's one thing, people will come together and be like, yo, that's a good deal. Come on. And because our mindset is more capitalistic, if you see something that's a good deal, you can come to another friend, and I may not have the cash, he may not have the cash, but together we can have the cash, and we can create an LLC to buy that property or to buy that circumstance. And all of a sudden now we're generating income, especially when something is at an amazing, this is what happened in 2008 and 9, right? People realize there are all these houses on the market. They're not going away, right? It's just, they're just now just cheaper. And so people went through, came together. I remember a friend of mine I had met in college, her mother, single mom, in 2008, she, or 2009, she picked up literally almost 89 houses out in Central Valley in California, because that's where just the whole entire market just imploded on itself. Houses that were 350,000 literally short sold for like 100,000. Like it was insanity. And I mean, we're talking, 2/3 of the value of the house just completely just evaporated in a matter of 6 months to a year. And so you saw these people come together. This woman literally put together a little limited liability company, and just basically she had really good credit. She bought one house, built it up, left the people in the house. She said, you can stay in the house, it's okay, right? Just help me pay for the mortgage, right? And then she resold the house to them for less than what they lost, so they bought it at, like, let's say 400,000, 300,000. And then she sold it to them for 200,000, but she had bought it for 110, 108,000.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. And her partner did this all over the place. And so it was one of those moments, and she picked up like 80 something houses, and there was a lot of houses that just became hers because people just walked away. And I sat there and I was like, that is brilliant. That is brilliant. They had lower mortgage because she bought it at a lower rate, and then she let them stay there. So she helped pay off she helped pay everything off. And she just straight said to him, just stay in the house. You're okay. You're cool. I'm not going to try to kick you out. Just don't ruin the house. Let's work things out here. And people did, absolutely. And that's the mindset, I feel like, of America, right? Like, somebody's going to sit there. Whereas in other countries, I don't see that happening. I don't see, because I don't know, am I wrong? You've traveled quite a bit. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've traveled a lot, but I tended to live in hotels and Airbnbs or with friends and things like that. I have never actually, come to think of it, I don't, except for here in Canada, I don't think I've actually paid for my own housing.
Wow.
Where I was the owner or renter or leaser or something like that. I've always, like I said, long-term, like when I lived in Dubai, you can rent a hotel room for 2 years. I mean, and it's bigger than any apartment you've ever rented in your life. And so everything works out fine there. But it's rare. I would say it's rare, and it's rare that you have someone like your friend that can put deals together like that, but B, have the forethought to say, you know what, I'm making money on the sale of this house. All they need to do is just keep it in good shape.
Yeah.
Whether I get the rent or not, doesn't matter. I need someone to take care of the house and just, contribute something to it so we have money for maintenance of the house. I would say that's rare.
What I thought was brilliant. Well, I saw that a lot in that area. It wasn't just she wasn't an anomaly. What I thought was so interesting is that she let the people stay in the house. She went there. She's like, and one time, my friend was telling me how she went to one of the houses. And she went with like the girls, and as she went and knocked on the door, they were like, "We're not leaving," and she goes, "It's okay. I don't want you to leave." And the mom came out, looked at the window, and was like, "What do you mean?
What you talking about,
like,
Willis?"
Yeah, kind of like that. Like, what, and she's like, "I bought the house. Let's work it out." And the mom was like, "Are you serious?" She's like, "These are my daughters. I'm assuming you have kids." And the mom was like, "Yeah. And she's like, "Let's go in. Do you have coffee? I brought coffee." Right? And like the daughter was in there holding like a little cake thing. And she was just like, you understand? And she's like, okay, came in, husband was at work, and sat down and said, look, this is what I want to do for you guys. I'm going to win. You're going to win. I want to sell it to you, right? You bought it way up here. Would you like to sell it here, right? I need a margin from here to here. We know houses are going to go up. People are not leaving the area. Bay Area people are going to move over here because this is always what happens. It's kind of like New York and Connecticut. Whereas like New York, you make a ton of money, you work really hard, capital appreciation, everything over there happens, just goes up. But it goes up higher than what it does here in Connecticut. So when people want to retire and just basically kind of live the life, right? They sell themselves up in New York and they come out into Connecticut because life's a little cheaper. And then it oscillates like that, back and forth over the years. And so that's basically what happens with like the Central Valley in California and the Bay Area. People in the Bay Area work really hard, make a ton of money, and then come over to the Valley and Modesto, Fresno, Stockton. They're little gangbanger areas, but there are also nice little areas as well. Okay, I always talk smack behind it. Say Modesto is like the 6th stupidest city in the country, which it's the lowest educational company, but it's the most street smart people you ever meet in your life. Right, i.e., this guy right here, right? Sorry, like I always say, special ed, right? But there's a lot of smart people there, and so that's what happens, and that's what she did, and I thought it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I see that if things start to go crazy again, I don't think we're gonna have a 2008 crash. That's obviously not gonna happen, but are we going to see like maybe? Houses go from 400,000 to, let's say, 300 or 300, maybe 250. Absolutely, I think we are very much going to see that because all of the supply that people bought within the housing market, sooner or later, it's just that was I hate to say it, but it was a hoax. It was
a hoax.
Well, it was. It was a governmental hoax. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, speaking of hoaxes, what's going on with the price of silver, Pedro? Read another article about the doomsday scenario of there just not being enough silver for everyone that wants to use it, and I don't mean use it in electronics. I mean hoard it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're absolutely seeing, but here's the thing I want to add up. If you look at the volume here, okay, we saw it come down. We saw it get bought up yesterday, right? Look at that demand wave. Like I said, we potentially, most likely, I think we're going to tap that 8-period moving average, which is sitting right here, the purple line. And then we're going to see consolidate something similar to this. Boom, come down, push, come up. That $100 mark area here, the triple digit mark here, is the key point. If we hit that, and then you see it push up, then come down, that's when I think we're going to pull back. We'll have a 20% pullback, 30% pullback. But if you think about this, like we're having major pushes. I think we're getting up to that 100 period moving. I think we're getting to that $100 mark. Right? That's the reality is if we had a doomsday scenario, then we would have gone up. And the fact I always say it like this, if there's more articles that are screaming doomsday, what are the banks doing?
Buying.
Exactly. So the reality is that you still have way more demand than supply because even though it is manufactured, it's a real manufacturer problem because China will hold off on it. We've already seen them start to not play. The real situation is going to happen is at the end of this year if they're going to move against America. And the other part I thought about this is the robotic humanoid that is literally just taking the internet by storm. It is literally break dancing. It is doing dance moves. It has a dexterity that is so crazy that it looks real. It looks real, and they keep doing this. And everybody's seen the robot that's dancing and break dancing, and the whole entire does a backflip into a Avengers kneel, right?
Right.
Like, boom. That's real. Like that, I think that's real, right? And if I was China, there's a lot of components in that literally need silver. So I think it's smart. If I was China, I'm not China. I don't agree with their ideology and have spent many of hours on this show saying I don't agree with them. But
and Pedro's internet connection dies. No, just kidding.
Oh, yeah, I was ready to. I was like, it was so good, dude. It was so good. You got me. You got me.
In what was called a gas line explosion, Pedro's house disintegrates.
Right. But on the back end, I add this, and I think it's super important to understand, is that they need silver for a lot of those robotic components. And so ultimately, I'm sitting there going like, if I was them, that's what I would do. I would hold on to that because they're gonna need those for what if they're gonna start mass producing them, and they are a manufacturing juggernaut. So if they decide they want to go take Taiwan, well, you're not going to get all those young people who are now in the laydown movement that is happening in China to go to war. They will give their life up, not for their country, but just give it up freely because, they have nothing really to live for except for a better life that they don't see coming. And so you're going to try to get those people to work or go and fight a war that they don't even agree with their nation. Yeah. No, there's no way. So what are they going to need? Robots. And so I think that's potentially what they're actually gaining. And I think it's smart. If I was a nation and I was planning a war, which they've been talking about, reuniting, that was so hard for me to say, reuniting Taiwan with the motherland, with Beijing, they're going to need warriors. And I mean, and we're already starting to see them actually starting to kick out. Last year alone, they did 10,000 just with one manufacturing company, right? I mean, imagine if they had.
It's gonna be like Star Wars, the War of the Clones.
Yeah, in essence, right? And so America, their precision, on how to shoot things. And we already saw the dog video of them shooting the robo dog, right? Phenomenal. Yep. I mean, those things were shooting things. I mean, literally hairpin trigger with an accuracy of like a sharpshooter, like just phenomenal. So it's going to be really interesting to see what is happening. And I think part of the silver ban or overlooking is part of that. I do, because we already know they've already said what they're going to do, and that's coming up in pretty much 11 months, 10 months here. They said they were going to do it. We'll see if they stick to it. But if I was going to do it, if I was them, I would have to really start to focus and hone the raw resources that we're going to need, and silver is a huge portion of it.
Pedro, have you watched the American TV series called BattleBots?
No, I have not, but I have seen.
It's when people create, they have death matches of these devices that some have hammers that smash the other, right?
Yeah.
And I love that show. I love it. It's just so you're going at it, all of a sudden it's like, oh, it explodes, or someone's machine has a secret flamethrower on it that nobody knew about, and all of a sudden it's in the clutches of the opponent, and then the flamethrower comes and everyone goes crazy. The Chinese have been doing that, but with robots. They've had the robot fights.
Yeah.
Some of them are really good, but it's causing an iteration very quickly for as anything in these deathmatch type things. You're like, all right, that didn't work. And the very next time you try something different, you're like, that wasn't so good, or that's working, let's do more of that. And it's causing them to go really fast in iterating robotic parts and what works and what doesn't. And some of them are like pretty stupid. The robot's like, and just like, they just spin the robot, and it just, using leverage, whacks the other one and knocks it over. But every once in a while, all of a sudden you see a robot go, kabam, like Rock'em Sock'em or something like that. And you're like, oh, whoa, whoa. The robot's
Yeah.
head is like,
Yep.
and it's good. And the U.S. needs to do more of that.
Competition.
We need to
I would
be
agree with
iterating
you,
through
100%.
robots, learning, having not multi-million-dollar joints, just like the Ukrainians are doing with drones. They've iterated through generations of drone technology in a very, very fast manner, because they quickly find out what works and what doesn't. Ooh, a bunch of dead Russians. That works. Do more of those.
That's what war does, right? That's why every time after a war, a major war, we see a technological advancement because of, hey, we have to kill our enemy faster than they kill us. Oh, okay, this works. Oh, wow, this really works here. Boom, boom, boom. And you have to reiterate. And one thing about humans, man, is that when push comes to shove, when we get pushed against the wall, we figure things out real quick. And that pressure is real. That cortisol eats at us and doesn't let us sleep and makes us figure things out. And so it's interesting to see China's preparing for, I think they're going to do a land. I think they're going to take over China. I do. They're already setting things up. They're playing, right now, very cautious. They're watching America kind of extend itself. And if that does happen, they know from a standpoint, they have the majority of the silver in the world. And they very much could create robots. They can and mass produce these things. They have the chips. If they take over Taiwan, okay, I mean, I hate to say it, this sounds absolutely atrocious, but if they do, America needs to torch Taiwan.
Right.
You can't let them have it. I mean, just like the old Assyrians used to go through and burn everything. The Romans did the same thing. They would salt the earth, make it unusable.
Nothing in Carthage will grow again.
Yeah. I mean, because the fact is, if China gets Taiwan, America's done.
Pedro,
card.
I've got the reverse Uno card I brought up here because I think Taiwan should totally trick them and do the reverse Uno and invade the mainland. And just say, look, you guys, you're pissing us off. You've wasted so much of our time and effort with this threat of invasion and all that. And just catch them off guard. Drive right up to Beijing and take control and say, we're back. We've had to leave in 1948. We're back. Country keeps running just like normal. We'll just have no more of this communist shit. And we'll have actual regular elections and stuff like that. Pull the reverse Uno and do that. And it would catch, literally, the people in China would run around like with their heads cut off by a chicken, because they've felt this whole generation of, in fact, the past 2 generations or 3 generations of Chinese have felt that blanket of stability and comfort in their lives. That no Chinese generation has felt for eons. I mean, China has essentially been one giant war country, not with externally, but internally with itself for ages. It's dynasties. Everyone's like, ooh, the famous dynasties. They were essentially class wars. The rich people tried to keep everything and keep the peasants poor. Worked great for a long time. Then it didn't, and everyone's got their head cut off. But I think the reverse Uno here would be an interesting play. Just Taiwan just going all in. Just be like, fuck it, going all in. And all of a sudden the Chinese are sitting there smoking their cigarettes on their military bases, and they'll be like, hey, who are those guys? They look like us and they talk like us, but they're, oh shit. Reverse Uno! Never forget the reverse Uno card.
Speak about reverse Uno. White House says it's highly confident the Supreme Court will rule favor of President Trump's tariffs. We're about to see. Polymark is saying the opposite. So if the White House, and one thing that we all know, and we've seen it over and over, Trump's got a good gut. He can read things really well. Whether you like it or not, the man's got his finger on the pulse in many areas. I mean, just saying, look at the man, right? Come back already, was it 4 divorces? I think, or was it 3 divorces that he had?
Yeah, I think he's had more than me. So I think he's got. I think he's one. He's one up to me in that
He's
area.
tough to with it. Yeah. So it's funny to see if the man's come back by 4 divorces where they've literally taken half of his stuff every single time. And he's like, whatever, go ahead and take it. They're my kids, right? Like, it's interesting, right? It's, he just kind of gave it. It was like, well, that was worth it. She was worth it. Like, whatever, right? Like, you're like, bro, your wife just took $1 billion.
No, he's always had the prenups and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, this was just
it's because Ivanka famously got, or Ivana, what was his first wife? I think she famously got 25 million or something like that. And that was it.
Comparatively, yeah. But I'll put it like this: the man's got a good finger on the pulse. So if the man's that confident that he's going to keep it, I would definitely lean towards what he's saying. Also, President Trump threatens tariffs on countries that oppose U.S. efforts to acquire Greenland. I thought that, again, I just find this interesting that he is still trying to play this fight here, through the bullying. And I'm like, come on, man. But we'll see what's up. Also, what do you think about when X went down? What, like,
I was right in the middle of grokking something. I was doing two things. I was looking something up, and unrelated to the show, and I was getting ready to make the show thumbnail. And I used Grok to make the show thumbnail. And all of a sudden, in the question I asked when I was doing my research was a sensitive topic because I'm trying to figure out a friend of mine how they're doing mentally, and Grok wouldn't answer this. And I'm like, well, that's weird. It answers everything. I'm like, there's been a lot of brouhaha about Grok, and the British Parliament is like, oh my God, all it is just child porn. Oh my God. And I shouldn't even say that because YouTube will crash.
Bro, I was about to say, he just killed us.
Corn. We're trading corn here. Mortimer, buy, sell. Corn.
Talk about corn.
No. And so it didn't work. And I was like, wait a minute, that's not right. So I just tried something innocuous and it didn't work. And so I just asked it, hey, are you running? Nothing. And then I went over, I was like, oh, that's weird. So I went over, because I used the Grok either app or website itself. Then I went into X to use the Grok feature in X, and nothing on X was working. It was just like, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Nothing is here. And it lasted, I don't know, a good 20, 30 minutes or so. And the only reason I knew it started working, because my profile page, I has monitoring over here, because I bring up the X feed so I can monitor the comments. All of a sudden, my profile avatar got the ring around it showing that we were live. And I was like, aha, X is back. But it was, I use Grok so many times a day. I don't use Google search anymore. I mean, I don't know anybody that does it. They should. The European Union needs to just drop all that antitrust and monopoly stuff now.
I use it too. I use both. I use Gemini immensely, and I use Grok immensely.
Well, Gemini is different than regular Google search. I mean, Google search, go to google.com and search. I probably haven't done that. I used to do that 40 times a day. Now I do it 0.
Well, what I'm saying is this, is that so I will sit there, I'll use both. So anytime you search something out, it's automatically integrated within the AI of Gemini within that search. And so I know if I ask it, it's immediately going to go over and use everything as a Google search. I want to do both because sometimes Grok is off. And so that's why if I'm sitting there and I'm working things through, I want to get 2 to 3 different types of views, especially if I'm going to sit here and come on the show and talk about things, right? I want to get different perspectives, and sometimes it's off. And so I want to sit there, and sometimes I'll be like, hey, Gemini says this, what's going on? And Grok will be like, actually, I have to correct myself. It's right? But I always hear literally, because I use Eve, I go, Eve, so when I say she'll say, what is it?
Turns out Eve's a tranny.
Probably. Sure, bro. I call it Eve. It doesn't matter. I don't care. It's an AI program, but just the female voice sounds better on my ears. But what I'm saying though is this: sometimes it's off, and so I got to sit there and run it. And it's interesting how Eve is always so catty when I say, "Oh well, Gemini says this. Is it right?" And it will be like, "Yeah, it is right," but it probably said it in a very just corporate-y, very unbiased, what does it normally say? It basically, every time I say, well, Gemini says this, what are your thoughts? If it's right, it will admit that it's right. It'll go through, check the internet and go, okay, it was right. I was wrong. So I think it's really important to make sure that you have multiple AIs that you use.
I had that happen with Grok the other day. I asked it a numbers question. I was looking for some answers on certain aspects of GDP. Mm-hmm. And there's no opinion on this stuff. It's just like, here's the numbers.
Yeah.
And I was, as soon as I saw the numbers, I'm like, that's not even close to being right. I didn't know the answer, but the smell test immediately said that's about half. And so I just went back. I'm like, are you sure? Because there's 350 million Americans, and yada yada yada, blah blah blah. And it came back. Oh, you're right. Sorry, I was using outdated information. And so I asked it. I said, how outdated was it? I mean, it would have to be from like the 70s. And it came back and said, yeah, apparently the report I relied on was from 1973.
Yeah, I think it's really important.
It should know, if I'm asking the question now, that 1973 is a half century ago.
Well, sometimes it's really important also that it's not just, like that's why I use 2 or 3, and I'll sit there, and when I do it, like Perplexity's great. Like Perplexity typically is on point for in like real deep detail economic things, as well as like coding. If I need to get things out, I'm going to use and work things out. I'm going to use Grok, which I do that a lot. I'll even give, like I told you, there were literally times where I had my tablet, which had Gemini. I literally had Perplexity on my phone, and then I had Grok on my computer, and I'm sitting there and they can all hear each other. And I'm saying, all right, we're going to walk this out from a geopolitical standpoint. I have all you AIs talking. So if you hear one talking over the other, you need to stop and listen.
Did it work?
Yes, it works. They will listen to each other. And so this is the part that I always say, like, you need to, and when you start to, just like in capitalism, when you have more businesses that compete with each other, what happens? You have more innovation. You have more competitiveness always breeds innovation and makes things more efficient. It's the same idea. So just don't take one over the other. Make sure that like you're using multiple avenues of information so that you're not being stuck on one. Now, I do use Grok because I'm learning Spanish, right? And so I'm going through Rosetta Stones, and a lot of times like it says like tu quiero mi mamá is what it says, right? And that like tu quiero is like you want to say ti quiero, right? Versus quiero, because quiero is more romantic love, right? Versus ti quiero or ti quiero. And so what it said, it was like, do not use that in that, Grok was like smart because it deals in Spanish all the time. And it says that's more of romantic, like husband marrying the wife either on that night, talking about like that nightly act. And so I was like, oh, snaps. He's like, yeah, look, they're teaching you proper grammar, which is cool. But if you're going to talk on the streets, you're not going to say that because it's going to come off very inappropriate. And I was like, thank you. Right. So that was good information that Grok gave me. So you just got to make sure you use multiple of these, because they sometimes, like, especially like there's times when I've had to correct like Gemini and Grok at the same time, because I'm like, you're wrong on this. In the 1970s, this happened, and then this happened, and then because of that, you saw these things correlate, and in the current circumstances, why we see Xi Jinping in office right now. And a lot of times it will say, well, we think you're biased, or sometimes they'll be like, actually, you're right. But either way, you want to be able to read it yourself. It's more work, but it makes you more informed. I just give you a lot. Sorry. Another interesting thing that I thought is that Taiwan has given America $500 billion to support U.S. semiconductor operations, which I thought was really interesting. I was going to talk about that and I forgot to mention that. I'll read the details here because I thought this was really interesting. Details of the Taiwan-U.S. semiconductor deal. Per a LMAX press release on Thursday, key benefits of the integration of the LMAX group client includes the following: 24/7 cross-asset market access, fungibility via what is the RLUSD, and not available with fiat today. Enhanced liquidity for it will service as collateral and as a sentiment currency for spot crypto trading and fiat crosses. Margin efficiency: clients can utilize the RLUSD as margin funding for perpetual futures. And wait, no, this is not what's going on. In addition, the U.S. also agrees that duties in the Taiwan shipments would fall from the previous 20% rate, putting them on par with Japan and South Korea, which reaches their own agreement last year. I just messed this up. Why is this? I don't want to have to read through the whole entire, but I'll put it here. Institutions are increasingly recognizing that transformative potential of blockchain technology to modernize global financial. This is the wrong one. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. They gave the wrong one. That's funny. Let me pull this up here real quick. I just thought it was interesting because they're sitting there, and the Taiwan, I think they know if it's almost like when during Venezuela, as the communist nation started coming in, you saw a lot of the rich people, i.e. Mark Rubio's family, leave. I believe, was it Venice? No, Colombia. He's Colombian, right? Left Colombia.
No, he's Cuban.
Cuban, that's right. Yeah, Cuban missile crisis. They left, a lot of the rich people in Cuba left the island because they saw things were happening. It almost looks like that the Taiwanese rich individuals who run a lot of these businesses might be thinking about, maybe we're not going to be able to stop, China. And it looks like they might be just transitioning from Taiwan into America to start businesses in case this actually starts to happen. So they're basically putting money into America for setting up semiconductor businesses, and I even think pushing hard on chip manufacturing establishments or businesses and manufacturing businesses for that. Because the reality is, if they know that China's going to come in and they're already setting up for it, like, it's just going to cause too crazy. It'd just be too crazy. The smartest thing would be them going through, stepping or sidestepping the circumstances. Knowing it's going to happen. We already know that their parliament has a huge amount of Chinese sympathizers to them. So it's this idea that they've already inundated. If or when they do take over, I think China will come in, take over, and then the sympathizers will literally go through and say, no, okay, we're cool with it. And then also they'll have access. This is why I was saying that America, if that does happen, needs to come in and scorch Taiwan, come over and start establishing what we do here. And it's going to be atrocious because the rest of the world is going to hate us. But the reality is this, is if China gets Taiwan, dude, America's done. Like, we already saw what happened during COVID.
It's I watched a video, Pedro, the other day. It's a YouTube channel, Veritasium. I can't remember the guy's name on it. You've seen
I know
his,
you're talking about. I've seen him. Yep.
He's got 20 million subscribers, all this type of stuff. He did a video on the machines. I'm going to bring it up, that the Dutch make Interestingly enough, another time in which the U.S. invented something and then just let it go, and now the Dutch have a monopoly on it. The machine, here's the machine right here. This machine here is what makes, and it's all, you can only see part of it here. It's like as long as a football field. It makes the smallest chips, whatever the smallest nanometer chip is here. And the video talks about how they do that. And these chips are so small and everything's so small, the only way to engrave them, you can't use needles or mechanical, you have to use light, you have to use photons. And you have to use wavelengths of light that are not natural, except in a nuclear explosion in the sun.
Yeah.
Because to get them to be this small and to have a resonance where they can overlap, it's the most complicated thing you've ever heard in the planet. So they have to manufacture this light. They have to manufacture the light in a machine as big as this thing here, and one photon at a time, and they shoot it out of the air with like laser beams and this type of stuff onto the chips or what it's so complicated you can't believe it. But these are the machines that the Dutch are making that are feeding the chip industry in Taiwan. And it's, when you watch this, you understand why the Chinese can't make them, because the Chinese supply chain system is not set up for the tolerances. Like there's tolerances on this machine that are a photon in width. I mean, the photons are small, very, very, very small. And each machine's $400 million. And it was something that was being developed by Intel and other U.S. chip companies, and they just gave up on it. They're like, nah, you know what? We don't see it going anywhere. And the Dutch company said, all right, we'll keep doing it. And then of course they made it work, and now they're, literally the most important chip company on the planet. And this is what they'd be fighting over. And what the U.S. needs to do is essentially sanction Taiwan and say you can't buy any more of these things. We need to move the chip industry out of Taiwan and move it into the United States, or keep it in Europe, but more importantly, start repurposing these machines back into the continental United States, so we have the capability of making these chips here in the U.S. Apparently, none of these machines are actually in the U.S. They're all over in Taiwan in that area, because the order process, once the Taiwanese figured out and the Koreans figured out, hey, this is going to be good, they put in like 20 years of orders worth, because they can only build so many of these things.
Check this
so
out.
we're behind the curve on it. We're just behind the curve on these on this chip manufacturing, and it's nothing that you can solve quickly.
Oh, that's what okay, yeah. Here it goes. I'll read it here real quick for you guys. Here we are. It's the United States and Taiwan have reached a major trade agreement aiming to expanding semiconductor manufacture on American soil. The U.S. Department of Commerce announced the deal Thursday, outlining large-scale investment committees and tariffs adjustments tied to chip production in the United States. Under the agreement, Taiwanese chips and technology firms will invest at least $250 billion in the U.S. production capacity. The Taiwanese government will also guarantee $250 billion on credit to support these companies. In return, the U.S. will cap reciprocal tariffs on Taiwan at 15%, down from 20%. The deal also sets zero reciprocal tariffs on general pharmaceuticals. They're in whenever it's too ingredients, aircraft components, and selected natural resources. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said the agreement could accelerate new chip productions in Arizona. He confirms that Taiwanese semiconductor manufacturer company has already secured additional land near its existing site. They just bought hundreds of acres adjacent to their property. Lutnick said, I gotta roll that up. It's amazing. When my eyes go this way, it's hard for me to read, but when I look up, I can actually read better, which is really interesting. They just bought hundreds of acres adjacent to their property, Lutnick said in an interview with CNBC. I'll let them go through with their board and give them time. There you go. So I think it's really interesting to sit there and see that they're putting in, they're putting their money where their mouth is, and they're really pushing hard. So if they can actually set up their business here in America, potentially we could see a whole entire shift, in case we see Japan step in, or not Japan, but if we see China step in and want to start to just take over the manufacturing system in China. We know, we already saw what we can do with direct strikes in Iran. So that idea, I know you love that, don't you? That idea is real simple. We know how to direct strike, and it would be and you're talking about the battle of the what's it called? Small little non-flying battle of the drones. Thank you. Yeah, that would be a battle of the drones if that was to happen. Like if China, and I'm talking about this now because it is a way that, like, I don't see them not doing it. It just makes sense. They're already setting up for it for China, and they've been talking about this for almost 3 years now, 3-4 years, that they're going to reunite Taiwan with the mainland by 2017, or excuse me, 2027. So it's one of those things that I think China's getting ready for it. I really think they're going to push for it. And if I'm,
this is what I don't understand. What's the rush for China? Is it really some? I mean, is it President Xi just looking out saying, "Hey, this is about when people are going to start getting unhappy with me, so we'll need some news event"? I mean, what? They literally have 5,000 years to worry about this, and it's wasting their own money on military spending. It's causing us to build up our military over in the Pacific, which we wouldn't be. We would have 1 or 2 fewer carrier groups in the Pacific. We didn't have to worry about China. They could dedicate more money to their economy instead of their military. It's like why the military aspect of it when the Chinese are not dumb people. They're smart. They're all educated now. They're living in the modern world. They can see that military spending is essentially, your return on investment. If you don't own the world like the U.S. does with the dollar, it's just a big expense that otherwise would have helped out their real estate industry or their construction industry or pay off loans. And instead, they're saber rattling over Taiwan like it's a manifest destiny. And
That's
really, nothing. It doesn't matter. I mean, all they're doing is causing the U.S. to say, all right, we need to pull our supply chain out of China and out of Taiwan. So let's move it back to the United States. And ultimately, China's going to pay the price for that as manufacturing moves out. As the U.S., the U.S. has been ratcheting up the defense industry, saying you have to ensure your parts and supplies don't come from China, so we can get replacements. That they don't have, spyware on them. And also so we can get replacements. And so and that's not something you can do fast. It's, slowly going through the defense system. And, but that'll happen. And once that happens and they, then they're acquiring everything in North America. And then other industries can start doing the same. And all of a sudden, China's irrelevant. And China's essentially causing it. If they just said, all right, we'll be the world's manufacturing, you know what? Fuck it. We're all fine over here. Everything's great. Nobody would do it. They would take every job, every manufacturing job, boop, 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 boop in the world, and they can pollute their own country and all that type of stuff, and nobody would care. Instead, they took the militaristic route, and it made everybody care. That's the rare tactical error or strategic error that you see come out of China. You don't see them make strategic errors a lot. You see them make small missteps here and there, but over the long term with that 50-year outlook or something like that, and this was a misstep by them. And I think President Xi knows that. Because, we shouldn't have spent so much money on the military and saber rattling. All it did was piss everybody off. And now we have a trade war, saber rattling war, and as we all know, that the Chinese is typical Asian diplomacy. They like to have everything look good on the surface. And everyone saves face and everything's nods and great, and hey, everything's great. Whereas then they just don't know how to deal with us. The new Americans here are just saying, no, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. We're not doing that. No, that's not right. No. And so it's a big change for China, and I don't think they know how to handle it diplomatically in the manner they're used to. And I think they're realizing they made a strategic error by focusing on military instead of just making their country better. Because it's a giant waste of money. You didn't need to spend $1 trillion on the military. It can go a long way to other things.
I think you're actually right on, because the reality is that if China just simply kept going like they could have just slowly rocked America to sleep much more. But the fact we were fat and happy, and the fact is that once they started popping off, saying, okay, this is what we want to do, this is what we're going to start pushing our dominance in the world, I think it was too soon. You woke up the sleeping dragon now. You woke up, you woke up the sleeping giant. And now it's like, wait, what's going on? And now you have half of America like going, nah, bruh, nah, we ain't cool anymore. And you have the other half going like, can't we just go back to like being cool? But the fact is, it's like when you're half awake and you've slept enough, you don't want to sleep anymore, right? Like you're ready to move. And I think as we start to see, if China oversteps their boundaries and, like you said perfectly, goes into what we see with Taiwan, they're going to wake the other half up. And all of a sudden, you have all those Pelosi's, all the rich people who have money in Taiwan, all of a sudden saying, you just took our money, right? Like the worst thing that Hitler did was literally mess with the Rothschilds and their cash.
Right.
Oops. Like once they really started messing with that stuff, they said, all right, we're going to bring America in and we're going to see a bunch of stuff happen. And guess what? You're going to get your face kicked in now because the sleeping giant's up. In the same sense, that's what they should have done. And now that half America's up, there was I think it was Tom Bailu. I'd actually saw it, but there was a Chinese nationalist who was talking about how when the revolution happens in America, he was saying, take note of the people who have a bunch of, in front of their house, the American flag. Did you see this?
No.
This is his video? Yeah. But he says, it's not time now, but when the time comes, those are the people you want to go after. The ones that had the American flag in front of their house. And he literally says, make sure you go and eat them first. And literally, like, go take them out. And I literally thought to myself, those are the people you don't want to mess with. Those are the ones who have 30 guns, 40 guns.
Exactly.
Like those are the guys who are ready for you to come and mess with them. The far left, you may have guns, but you ain't gonna have 4 or 5 guns. I mean, you may have 5, 6 guns, maybe 10 guns. These guys got arsenals. Especially the ones over in Virginia and in the lower part of America. It's gonna be nuts. It's gonna be nuts. Anyhow, dude, wow, it's already 2:15.
Yep.
How much time do we need for the month? I know we were gone for a whole entire week.
Oh, we're way behind. Anyway, I just saw our numbers doing okay here. Had 28 people tune in to us on X today. Right now, we've got 18 of you watching, one of which is me, and I'm sure one of which is Pedro here on Rumble. So thanks to everyone that's watching. If you're watching us, drop a comment here. We're an interactive show here. Our lone commenter today has been Kaching, commenting about when I said, hey, chumbalones. He said, or he could throw baloney at cars. He may be a chumbaloney. That poor guy. Here he is thinking that he's some some protester. I'm going to show the government that. And he throws baloney at a car. You take that. You take that. It's high in sodium. You take that.
You know what? Like, I saw this. You know, I don't know if this is true or not, but did you watch the there was a little slap back or going back and forth with an ICE person and another person, and basically the ICE person's like, oh, you should be proud of yourself. He goes, I love my job. And the person was like, yeah, how do you like this? And he's like, I don't care. I make $200,000 with a $50,000 signing bonus. And I sat there and I was like, dang. Like
I'd slap those bitches in the face too for $200K. I'd be line them up, bring those woke motherfuckers up, bam, pepper spray in that one's face, boom.
Like no, that's not my heart. So I'm not gonna even retort to that.
Oh, it's some of them. You just want to give them the business.
But what I'm saying,
penalty.
What I'm saying though is that on the back end, when you look at the like these guys are being incentivized to come, dude. Like $250,000. I might just tell Tom. Now that I say that, Tom will be like, all right, so we're gonna put this show on hold for the next 2 years. I'm going to go through, and looks like Miss Striking, because I mean Miss Striking could be taken care of with that type of money with you, dude. You could just handle business, get your own good health care, and boom, get it taken care of. What Tom's thinking about it now. He's like,
just I think I've aged out. I think they don't take 57-year-olds anymore. If they would, I'd be out there. Just to tell, I would be the guy with the bullhorn saying, look, you pansies, just go back to work. Go back to school, do whatever, just leave, because you're all losers. Unfortunately, a kid got his eye shot out the other day with a pepper ball.
That was so
and his
sad,
his eye's all wrecked, and it'll probably lose his sight forever. And everyone's like, oh, it's so terrible. Not one of those stupid fuckers said, hey, don't run at police. Hey, here's a hint. Don't run at the police. It's bad. Bad things happen when you run into the police. And he's like, oh, they shouldn't have shot me in the eye. So you're lucky they stopped using regular guns. They're like, hey, we don't, let's not shoot these people's brains out. Let's just pepper spray them enough, and maybe they'll stop. Well, no, they don't. They just runs up like, hey, and he gets shot in the face accidentally. And the guy wasn't trying to like, oh, I'm going to shoot this guy in the eye. He turns around and he goes, oh shit, bam. And bad things happen when you fuck around. Stop fucking around. The guys in Minnesota, the mayor and the stupid governor and stuff are like, you're doing the awful stuff, and you got to turn the noise down, turn the heat down in our state. Oh, it's just terrible. The mayor's out saying, get the fuck out of our blink and all this kind of stuff. The mayor of Minneapolis is the biggest asshole of them all. He's out there saying in one side of his mouth, hey, you're ruining everything, ICE. Get out of our thing. And then the other side, he's saying, throw your bodies in front of them, protest. He even got up there the other day and said, oh yeah, I'd like to see everyone just point out where I'm egging them on. So all the news guys went, we have this thing called recordings, and they just put clips of him together saying, protest them, get in their faces, all this type of stuff. And frankly, I feel that the mayor of Minneapolis should be put in a car in the trunk of a Lincoln and have the Teamsters drive him out in the middle of nowhere in the desert of Vegas, and leave him like Breaking Bad style. Say, just give him an underwear. Make sure he has his underwear and a gun.
Or casino, like casino.
Yeah, we're in casino. Yeah, just and without him and Waltz egging people on, the speech Waltz gave the other day, basically,
dude, it was straight up inflammatory. Dude, they're going to. He's going to jail. Dude, the stuff
Waltz
that
is not
really tied to
rational.
All of this.
He's not a rational human being. He's up there saying protest, law enforcement, this kind of stuff. That's how civilizations come unfolded. Not from the government trying to keep things together. They keep it by the people like Waltz saying, hey, the government is not legitimate. They're not legitimate and they're criminals, and we're going to prosecute them all. Really? You're going to prosecute federal agents? And he said, and he's telling people to record them all so that later, when Trump's not in office, they can go back and prosecute all of the ICE guys. I'm like, that's not how this works. That's not how this works.
But here's the thing. I'll put it like this, and I think it's so important to even talk about, is that with, like, there is blatant stealing of U.S. taxpayer dollars. They are finding so much that is so, and it's all tied to the Democrat far left party. You know, like there's so much money that is being, and I mean, who was it? It was Besant who literally said we're probably, and I also want to say this. Besant is a homo, he's gay. He's gay. He's a New York socialite, right? He had his own, he's huge. I mean, look, he's a liberal. You know what I'm saying? Like, socially liberal, physically he's conservative. And if this man sits there and looks at you and goes, bro, this whole entire thing is at least 25% waste of taxpayer dollars, and we're gonna sniff you out, and it's huge, and it looks like it's coming from the top down. Like, this is the movement of literally making the Democratic Party a terrorist group. Did you hear that they were talking about that? Dude, like, it blew me up, because I sat there and I was like, what is going on? And it's really kind of being pushed more or less by the narrative of the New York socialites who were, like, conservative, fiscally, socially liberal, and they're saying, you guys went too far. You went too far, and you're burning America. And I just think it's interesting, because people forget that these people used to be liberal. But okay, 10 years ago, right? You had these people right here. So you have this amount right here. It's like, I'm trying to think. Okay, boom. Whatever. If you had 80 and 20 rule, 10, 15 years ago, okay, 80% of the people are central. You have your 20% that are left, and far left and far right. Well, America became less conservative and more liberal. And so now the line to being far right have shifted much more. So if you were part of the 80% on the conservative side, okay, and let's say you were the kind of you weren't far right, but you were at that edge there. Well, now you would be considered, today's standard, a far right conservative, even though 10, 15 years ago you were not.
Right.
Okay. And so everything has shifted left. That means that people who were central liberal are now conservative right, or not conservative. They're central right versus central left, because everything shifted left by about 15%. And if those people who used to be on your team now sit there and say, yeah, we're not on your team anymore because you're nuts, that should say something about the predicament that we're in, what is actually happening with the circumstance. When you look at Clinton is being inundated, or not inundated, what do they call that? The Clintons are basically being told they got to go to Congress and testify, right?
Right, subpoenaed.
Subpoenaed. Now, again, let's put this with the context that I just said. A vast majority, or not vast, but a large, 15% of people who were once liberal are now conservative. Not because they've changed really any of their thought, but because the whole entire scale shifted left. Right? And the reality is this: if they're going after the Clintons,
they got reverse Uno'd.
They got reversed Uno'd. And so I just think that's really interesting, in which the circumstance that we're in. So I don't want people to sit there and this is where I think people are getting it absolutely wrong. Like, they forget that Clinton used to be part of the central left. A lot of these guys used to be part of the central left, and they went extreme left. And now it's like but they're still considered central left, and the reality is they're not. And so what I find interesting is that a vast majority of college kids now out there are starting to become conservative. They're coming back to church, traditional values. Many men that are young, 18 to 24, would like a stay-at-home mom, would like a woman who would want to have a kid and stay at home and stay. This is starting to push. A lot of them are starting to go back to church. And it's interesting to hear that a lot of liberal women are saying they don't have any guys for them to love. There's no guys for them that are chasing after them.
Because nobody wants a pissed off, argumentative woman in their life. Men seek out women for companionship and comfort and security. And when you get someone in your life that's going, motherfuckers, cocksucker, fuck, here, take baloney, blah, 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 F you. Men are like this. They're like, imagine the kid that thing's gonna make. No, I'm not bringing a kid into the world with that creature. No. And this is the failure of feminism. Feminism would say, hey, women need to be stronger, all this type of stuff. Good for you. You should be able to self-determine what you want to do with your life. I get that. But women are still the childbearing people here. And they have to take that into account. And a whole bunch of women said, wait, we're just going to be strong equals as men. And women are not equal. They're in a lot of ways, they're a lot stronger because they have to give birth. In other ways, they're physically not as equal. God, humans, physics, or however it happened, humans divided those responsibilities up millions of years ago into you do that and you do that. And now in the Western world, you get a lot of these women who are just gone about life thinking that was I am a modern feminist woman and my life is great. And then you go, but how come you're so pissed off all the time? Oh, it's because all the other people that are unequal. I famously watched one of my friends whose wife, all she wants to do is be a homemaker. She's raised 3 kids. She's managed the home. The husband is the primary breadwinner. She has a little business on the side, but really that the husband does it all. She didn't want to go to work, and one of her friends was like, why are you taking care of those kids? And she's like, these are my kids. These are my kids. Do you want me to have the government teach them and to raise them? Do you want me to have some business raise my children all day? Or do you want the family to do it? Me. She said, I think that all you women that go to work all day and leave your kids, you're the problem. And oh my God, the explosion. But this was a cocktail party gone crazy. And that's the fight that they're fighting right now with themselves. And why so many of them get to be in their 50s as old gray hair women, because they spent their life being angry at things that they have no control over, and that even when they vote as a block and they still get their asses handed to them, then they even get more mad because they realize that they're in the minority, even though they thought they were right the whole time. The rest of the country said, no, that's not what we want. We want to do B instead of A. And they end up pissed off and single, and then they start throwing themselves in front of ICE officers and all this type of stuff. Nobody wants them.
Well, I see your point. I do disagree with some of it. There were 4 parts there have been 4 waves of feminism in our modern day, right? First one was literally in the 19 or 1850s, late 1920s, right? That basically just said, us as women, we want to vote. We should have a right to vote. We are equal.
Right.
Okay? So
makes sense.
Right. So I think that was important. I think that's very much important. The suffrage movement, right? That was really, really important. I agree. You shouldn't have a right to be able to beat your wife if she acts up. Okay, that was wrong, and it was important for that. Yeah, like that, 100%. That part of feminism, 100%. Yes, right? In the late 60s and 70s, in the work field, right? Like women were still subservient to men and would only literally get paid crap. Like really, that happened during that time period. Again, they'd be doing the same jobs, but literally make only half. So again, that is important. I think that was great to see that happen. Also, women, Jackie O'Neill, right? We saw her go back to work. We saw her really kind of step into her own self, right? And not being sexualized as a woman, but being able to be an individual person next to a man without having to be completely sexualized. Again, very important. Very important. Going to work, being able to do what you need to do. Now, in the late, in the late 90s, early 2000s, we see basically the individual identity, different movements of actually happening where we saw enhanced in diversity of women experiences, being able to go into things, social norms, whereas they were kind of let into, i.e., the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts, letting girls go into the Girl Scouts. Again, I think that's okay. I think merging that was important. I think being able to sit there and have both sexes into the Scouts was important. I think that, again, that was important. Now, the part that I am now disagreeing with in today's world is there are two parts to today's. The idea of what's mine is mine and what's yours is mine with the mindset of these women, right? That's wrong. I think the fact that because I'm princess and I was raised as a princess, I deserve everything. This is the mindset of many of the girls today. And this is a big push in feminism today that we disagree. And this is where I think in today's feminism, I think they have missed the heart of feminism. Whereas like we saw that this fourth wave coming under the Me Too movement, right? Where in Hollywood and in many other places, women were still being subjugated sexually, and a lot of rapes were happening, and still were considered, oh, it was her fault, right? Like I think that was really important to. That's what started it. But and I think it was a good start, but it went so far into the fact that this term, and this came during COVID, which was almost 6 years ago now, where what's mine is mine and what's yours is mine. And regardless of how much you work or whatever, I'm a woman, I've been oppressed, and this is what we get. And in this generation of men who's coming up, 17 to 25, they're not cool with that. And many of them are sensitive, gentle, kind men who will only take so much until that testosterone drops and they're just like, F this. And so there needs to come back a pullback in that last wave of feminism where we can literally sit there and have these awesome men who love, who are caring, who are kind, who are gentle, who I want, if I ever have a daughter, I want that type of man to be with my daughter, who's going to want to hear her heart, see her as a individual, and also as a beautiful queen, right? But also they're both equals, but just different roles. And I think that's really important that has been missed, right? Is that I know many women in the military who did phenomenal things, were great. But certain aspects of like carrying big old what do you call what do they call it? Plates, like the metal plates that you lift on the carrier, right? They're like 500 pounds. Okay, you had 3 guys, and girls would get their, you hit a wrong way, before you know it, boom, you pull your back out, and then all of a sudden they're in pain, right? Like in the same sense, you saw that more with females than with males. But again, like I don't think the girls should have been doing it out there. I'm not saying that they can't. Like I remember Sarah Faulkner, who was the first rescue swimmer, right? She went through hell on earth and she handled her business. And there was a lot of things that people said that there's no way you're going to be able to save fishermen. These guys are 500 pounds, or not 500, but they're like 300 pounds, and they're way overweight. How are you going to get them in the basket? She figured it out, and she did a great job. She had a great career. like 15-year career, 20-year career doing that.
That's cool.
Respect to her. But many women have come after her and tried and been just gone through a lot of heartache and hurt themselves. She was an anomaly. So it's important to understand the nuances here, especially when it comes to the roles of male and female. Not that they are not equal, as in identity and who they are, right? But there are different roles, and it's important to understand, right? Especially when you let a transgender male who's transitioned into, or is it a transgender female who's once a male into a female, go into a fight with a female who has harder muscle, or who's literally has a much more muscle density. His bones are stronger, and so when you put him in the ring with a female, it's outclassed, or not, that's the wrong word. It's out of, it's just, there's no way she's going to be able, he will be quicker, he will be faster, he will be able to hit much harder than her. And not to say that she can't handle it, but man, do you really want to sit there and see that every time? Now we've seen certain aspects. So this is where it's gone to, where feminism has now gone so far, whereas you negate who you really are. The first, second, and third wave, I thought were okay. I mean, we're great. It's the fourth one that I'm just like, y'all went too far. Like you're grasping for things that you're hurting yourself. You know?
There's a big study out now, Pedro, talking about how I think I talked about this the other day on the show, in which the study has worked off of research that Senator Elizabeth Warren did as a bankruptcy attorney. Did I mention this last week? When she was a bankruptcy attorney, one of the things, and she wrote a book with her one of her law partners, and she found that the most wealthy and well-off families, I don't mean the richest, but the ones that have the best security nets, that have the best financial positions, are the ones which live their life off of one income, not dual income. And the people that live off one income live a lower standard of life compared to the two income people, but the people that live off one income have reserves and safeties because they have another person in the family that can work if needed. The two income family take the mortgage up to the top of the two incomes. They get car payments, they get all their expenses based on having those two incomes. And if they have any little slip in their employment or a major financial hit come for some reason or another, they can't afford it. If one person loses their job, they're like, oh my God, we might have to sell our house. Whereas, and this manifested itself in bankruptcy court, where Elizabeth Warren was a practicing bankruptcy attorney. And she found that the families that had one income, or at least built their spending off of only the primary breadwinner, had a reserve because they had someone in the home that if the primary guy, usually the guy got in a car accident, couldn't work, the spouse could go to work and at least bring in some income to add to the disability insurance and other types of stuff. So they had a backup plan, they had a reserve. And when women went full into the economy, into the jobs, it eliminated those families' reserve asset, which is labor. Labor is the most important asset that humans have. And it caused the amount of bankruptcies amongst two income people far exceeded the bankruptcies for one income couples. I found that very, very interesting.
So I'm shocked
and then
she didn't talk about that much.
Well, it actually is the basis of her huge anti-banking establishment mentality, because she sees how the banks prey on people. And everyone kind of, if you followed Elizabeth Warren, from give her a lot of grief, she obviously had come to these conclusions about the banking industry being evil for some reason or another. And this is why, because she did family bankruptcy law, and she saw how bankruptcy people would get overextended and banks would take advantage of them with predatory lending and that. Next thing you know, the banks own everyone's house, and people are screwed. So I found that very interesting.
Really interesting.
I know, and her point And the point of this new study was, hey, don't be a 2-income family and spend at the top of your income. Base all your home and what you your family budget on the primary income, and then everything else that comes in
is literally cherry on top.
Save for a rainy day.
Cream.
Right.
Yeah. You know, it's funny is my friend, so her kids are, I think, 12,
I got a scammer.
13.
Hold on, I have to address an asshole on Twitch. Look, you assholes on Twitch. No, we're not going to a Discord server so you can try and steal my session cookies. Just knock that shit off. You guys are just big fat losers. All right? I'm tired of you guys on Twitch. Oh, let's go to Discord and talk and that, and then you want to steal my session cookies. No, that's not gonna happen. All right? Now get the fuck out of here before I come through this whole internet and reverse your ass back to North Korea or wherever the fuck you are. I'm tired of them.
My dog.
Tired of them.
Oh, yeah, guys, get out of here.
I'm gonna have to go now and have Discord add me up on Discord so we can talk better. No, I'm not talking with your scammer ass. Get the fuck out of here. You wind up in the trunk of a Lincoln driven out of town by the Teamsters.
I remember what we were saying.
Now, back to the show. I do have to get going here, Pedro. Here we've been on 2.5 hours here.
Dude, what we were just saying? I was it's real interesting. My friend, and I'll let this be the final. Her kids are now going to school and doing all this stuff, and what's interesting is that she's now working, right? And so they lived off of his income, and she helped raise the kids and stuff like that. And they basically said if she goes to work, they've got to find daycare and all that stuff. So it's really just net equal comparative to if she stays home. And plus she took care of the kids and stuff. So now she's working extra hours, and she's bringing in like $500-$400 a week doing some stuff, which is cool. And so he's like, bro, the extra $2,000 is nice. And I go, tell me you're saving. He goes, absolutely, bro. I'm buying crypto. And
nice.
And so and so she was like, she got mad at him because he went out and bought some tools and stuff like that. And she's like, I thought we were gonna buy crypto with all this money. And I said, that's crazy to think about, right? Like an additional $2 to $3, $1,500 a month, $2,000 a month. Now they're just buying crypto. And also just savings and stuff like that. But she's probably gonna work. She's glad to go out there, and again, she works. She does some cleaning and stuff like that during the daytime before his kids come home with this cleaning lady. But I just thought was interesting though is that she's out there. And I think there's for a period in time, it's okay for a woman to stay home with the kids, watch the kids, protect the kids, right? But once the kids get older and, they're now doing stuff, she can come back, be home when the kids are home and stuff like that. And I just thought that was real interesting is that I don't think you need one or the other. I think you can have an amalgamation of the situation where you literally have a female who works, maybe post, not adolescence, adolescence, yeah. What's it when they're after like 12, 13, when they get above, when they're it's okay for
puberty?
them to, no, not after puberty, but while they're in puberty, right? Like she can go to work then, right? And then be home for the kids, and I've never seen, I maybe seen one or two women who were just absolutely hated being home, right? But most women sit there and they love watching the kids and being there, and the same thing with the men, right? So I see that value system coming back, especially with this younger generation coming in. They were raised with mother working. They saw the trauma come in, where they were left in harm's way many times, right? Where they had to figure it out. Just ask Generation Z or Generation X, right?
Right.
A bunch of knuckleheads. So it's going to be real interesting to see what happens here. But that's about it. Man, we've been all over the place today. I can't believe we have so many people still watching us. We got 16 people still watching us.
including some asshole on Twitch. I think he's gone now.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna do a raid today. I got to get 5 raids in, so we're gonna raid Simon Dixon. Currency wars, power struggles, and regime change. Real global wars explained. Simon Dixon hard talk here on Rumble. We're gonna send you off to that. If you get in the chat there, well, you will get in the chat. Tell him DYOR Media sent you. Striking and Pedro said, "Have a nice day." Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for sticking with us this week. It's Friday here. Enjoy your weekend. Pedro and I will be back next week with more shows entertaining you and educating you. I'm going to be trying my hand at trading again next week. Maybe we'll go for a second trade next week. Up my average to another $45 a day or so as I get myself back into trading. But anyway, thanks to Pedro Garcia for the expert analysis this week. As always, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking here in the digital media world. We're so glad to have hosted this great show. Join the raid. Tell them Striking sent you, ladies and gentlemen. It's important that you do it. It's important. Why? Because we got to get the name out for this show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you later. Make sure to comment in the live chat for Mr. Simon Dixon. See you next week. Boom.